going to talk about today is onboarding and how important onboarding is, what exactly it is, in case you don't know what actually onboarding is and why it's actually important, and also how to do it effectively and efficiently inside PT Distinctions. That's what we're going to go through today. So first of all, let's just talk a little bit about the whole process of onboarding. Now, this, to me, is probably one of the most important parts of the process when it comes to online personal training. If you get your onboarding right, it has so many benefits long-term for your programs. So onboarding basically is just a process of taking a client once they've paid. So once they've made that payment, it's taking them from that payment and getting them into your program and going through those first processes. Now, one of the key things about onboarding is clarity. You want to make sure you have a lot of clarity there. So your clients need to understand exactly what is going on, what's about to happen, because what they've done is they paid you some money. In a lot of cases, they paid you a lot of money. So what you don't want to happen is have this payment made and then nothing really happened until a couple of days later when you message them and follow up. Or you don't want to have to send them lots of different emails through or messages through or have all this backwards and forwards. It's not a smooth process and doesn't always instill confidence. What you want to do is basically say, okay, a payment's happened, and then have something happen instantly. And one of the beauties of the PT Distinction, you can do that, especially if you're using the pre-made packages. And we're going to go and actually set those up together a little bit later on in this training. But you can also do it if you're using other payment methods. You know, if you're taking payment over the phone, maybe you're doing a sales call, maybe use Stripe or go cardless or whatever it is, you can still include a good onboarding process. And that can be as simple as, okay, someone's paid over the phone, and you're going to send them a link through. And that link is going to have an onboarding page. And that onboarding page is going to add all that clarity in. It's going to give a place for the client to go and sign up into PT Distinction, which we'll use today, and allow that process to happen. It's going to add that clarity in there. It's going to give them that instant gratification. And because you're adding that clarity and because you're adding that instant gratification, you're going to reduce the chance of any chargebacks, of any buyer's remorse or any refunds and things like that. It's going to drastically reduce that because you're giving that instant gratification as soon as you've actually made that payment and sign up to your program. The other thing by adding that clarity there is you start removing nerves from the client. Now, clarity is actually probably one of the most important things you can add into your online programs, period. Like across all your programming, whether it's from the onboarding right the way through to deliverables and everything else, clarity is probably one of the key elements you need to focus on, but very much so when it comes to onboarding. You want to make sure that everything you ask your client to do is, first of all, simple. You know, it needs to be quite clear and simple. You don't give them too much to do to start off with. But you need to make sure your clients understand what it is you want them to do exactly, how you actually want them to do it, when you want them to go and do it by, how are they actually going to check in with you to let you know that they've done it, and then what is going to happen next. So if you can do those 5 things when you're setting your onboarding processes up, you're going to add so much clarity for those clients. And it just means you're going to get less questions, you're going to get less hassling, and the clients aren't going to be asking you questions all the time. There's less backwards and forwards, and they're going to be happy because they know exactly what they need to do and when they need to do it by. Another important thing is keeping your onboarding simple. One of the things we do, if you don't know already, we obviously run the company PT Ninja, and part of this is the Done For You service. And we set up loads of stuff for clients inside their PT Distinctions accounts. And one of the big things we set up is the onboarding. And a lot of times when we talk to our clients over at PT Ninja about the onboarding process, is they have so many things they want to do, so many forms and questions and tracking and everything. You just give the client straight away, and they give them this 40-page long PDF, this onboarding pack and PDF that goes out to them. And the chances are, they're probably not going to read that and do that straight away. It's just going to sit there. And what normally happens, and this is pretty much all the time, what normally happens is the client will probably get onto a call with the coach and they'll go for that onboarding stuff together. So you'll spend an hour of that first coaching call, not really talking about the client too much, how you're going to help them, but actually just going through this process. And that's because that process is just too much or it's too overcomplicated. So when we're thinking about this onboarding process that we're going to put together for our clients, we need to think about simplicity. What is the minimum viable dose? What's the minimum amount we need to give our client in order to get the information we need to help them? So when we're putting these things together, that's what I want you to think about. So everything you send to your client, ask yourself, okay, is this particular thing needed for, first of all, is it needed for insurance reasons? Or you have to have it in order to make sure it's safe for you to do. So insurance reasons, it might be a park queue, informed consent, that kind of thing. Those kind of things have to happen. You need that in order to move forward. But then you have other questions like a lifestyle questionnaire or certain tracking you want to claim off that client. Maybe you want to do certain kinds of assessments. You need to ask yourself with all those things before we even put our onboarding systems together, our onboarding packs together, you need to ask yourself, do I actually need that? And the way you're going to know this is by using two very simple questions. Is that particular thing you're asking the client to fill in, complete, track, whatever it is that going to help you as a coach make a better decision to move the client closer to the goals that you promised them? If the answer is no, then you ask yourself this second question. Is the client doing that by them filling that information in, doing that tracking, filling that form, taking that photo, whatever it is? Is the client doing that going to help the client make a better decision without any influence from you? The client make a better decision to move them closer towards their goal? Because if this tracking item, this form, this question, this whatever it is you set up in your onboarding pack, if it doesn't do one of those two things, it's pointless. It doesn't need to be there. And all you're basically doing is giving the client too much, and it's not actually going to help them at all. And I think this happens a lot, one, because we feel that we need to. We've done our training that says, all these resources we've got we can use. Just because we've got them doesn't mean we need to use them. They're just resources we have at our disposal as personal trainers. But the other side of this as well might be a level of confidence in terms of delivering online training and online programs, because a lot of times we think because it's online, it's not as valuable as in person. It feels like we're not giving that direct time. We're not there. It's not tangible. And I feel that because of that, maybe as trainers, we think we need to give more value, which of course we do want to give as much value as possible, but we see that value in adding more. And we see that value in adding more complexity. And it's strange because as humans, we tend to feel there's more value in complexity. There isn't really. Actually, there's more value in simplicity than complexity. So please don't be afraid to actually strip these back and think about what exactly you need for your clients, because it is going to work better for them. And the reason it's going to work better for them is because they're more likely to actually complete it when you want them to. So if you can really simplify your onboarding process, break it down into steps, think about exactly what they need, and is it actually going to benefit them, whether you help them with it or they can help themselves with it, is it actually going to benefit them? And then when they go through that process, they're more likely to stick to it, they're more likely to adhere to it, and they're more likely to do it when you want them to go and do it. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you an onboarding process, if you like, a very, very simple one, a simplified one that you can use. I'm going to show you how you can add some other bits into it based on what we've talked about already. And I'm going to show you how we simplify it. And I'm not just going to talk about simplification in terms of what questions we're asking and what forms we're going to give them and things like that. I'm also going to show about how you can simplify the process inside PT Distinction as well, because we're not just talking about gathering information to help this client get a result online. We're also talking about making sure your client during this onboarding process not only knows what's going to happen next, but knows how to use the tools that they have available. And those tools in this case is going to be the PT Distinction app, of course, your custom branded app or anything like that. So we need to include in that onboarding process, like how to actually go and use these tools as well to help them. We don't want them to feel nervous. We don't want them to sit there thinking, oh, I'm too overwhelmed here. This technology is too much for me. We need to keep this really, really simple and have a process in place. And you can do that through things like obviously videos, training videos and things like that. But again, you don't necessarily want to go and give somebody a 10-minute welcome video explaining how to use all the features inside the app, because they might not need to know that information straight away. You need to give them information when they need that information. And just like I talked about earlier, we need to make sure when we are giving our clients information that we have something for them to action and something for them to do. Because if there's nothing to action or nothing for them to do from that information, then it's just information that's not really going to help them in any way whatsoever. So let's go and take a look at how that's going to work and how we could pull a pack together. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to show you how you can access some of this stuff for free as well. We've actually already put it now inside your PTD account. It's inside the community area, but I'm going to show you where it is. And I'm going to give you access to 2 groups that we use over at PT Ninja. And this is part of the PT Ninja 101 course and our online personal training certification, where we have an onboarding group, a welcome group, and a results tracking group. We use this as part of our white label content. I'm going to give you, all you guys, access to that as well. You don't have to give us any emails or anything like that. It's dead easy to get. It's going to be inside your community area in the partners section. I'm going to show you where you can access that from too. But I'm going to demonstrate it first. I'm going to demonstrate the thought process behind it, why we've done it the way we have done it. And this is all based on data from working with literally thousands of clients setting these things up and seeing what works well and what doesn't. And I'm also going to show you how you can add more to it as well as we go through this process. So before we dig into PT Distinction and take a look, has anybody got any questions so far? Anything they want to ask or talk about, or anything you want me to cover? Like maybe your onboarding processes that you go through. Are you finding some of these issues already? Do you find that your clients struggle to go through these onboarding processes? They don't action it straight away. Do you find that a lot of time you're having to jump on a call or have a conversation to try and help them get through that onboarding process, or is your onboarding process fine? Do you find it okay? Like maybe you're all good with it. I don't know. And so if you've got anything like that, just let me know inside the comments. Or of course, if you've got any questions, then let us know as well. And whilst you're doing that, I'm going to pull up PT Distinction, and we're going to go and take a look at actually how to go and set this up in here. So let's go and have a wander over. There we go. So hopefully you can see my screen okay. I'll just bring up the comments to make sure I've got it on here, not missing anything. I'm going to give a couple of waves. There we go. And it looks like you can all see, which is awesome. Hey, Deborah. Nice to see you. Cool. So we're inside PT Distinction. And like I said, we're going to focus on the onboarding side of it. Now, of course, I could talk about all the different ways of onboarding clients. You can start off with the simple ways of just adding a client and setting all this stuff up yourself. I'm not going to bother with that today. I don't think we need to go into like the nitty-gritty details about that. If you want to understand some of the basics and fundamentals of PTD and understand some of the basics and fundamentals in terms of how to actually add in text documents, videos, emails, all that kind of thing, then go and check out the PT Distinction masterclasses. You can find those by going to the help section up here in PTD and check out masterclass module 1 and module 2, because that's going to talk about all the basics and fundamentals in module 1 and how to set up the content. And it's also going to talk about groups in module 2. And it's groups that we're going to be focused on using today, because groups are the way to onboard clients instantly. And I'm going to show you how you can onboard a client manually. If you've got clients inside your system that you want to add in manually. I'm also going to show you today how you can do this in an automated way. So when a payment is taken, they get onboarded instantly and they get that instant gratification that we spoke about just a few moments ago. So here we are inside PTD. I'm going to go straight up into the group section, because that's where we're going to actually get our onboarding stuff done. I'm going to head down here and ignore the amount of groups I've got in here. You guys don't need as many groups as this. You really don't. We've just got lots in here that we use for different things. Now I have a group set up here called the PTD Welcome Group and Flagship Group inside this one. Now I'm going to go and click on here. And we're inside our group. And what we're going to go and focus on basically is what's inside our setup and what's in the message center. Now, the first thing generally that a client's going to receive is going to be an email that goes out. Now, let's just talk a little bit about emails and messages and that kind of thing. I'm a big believer in trying to keep communication in one place. One of the things that we tend to see cause a bit of an issue when it comes to coaching clients online is when we deliver content through PTD, we then deliver content through maybe something else, when we deliver content through a Facebook group, we'll then deliver content through email, we'll then deliver it through WhatsApp, we'll do it through Facebook Messenger. When we ever work with personal trainers that have all these different places where your clients can go, we generally see adherence drop. We tend to see lower adherence, and in order to maintain that adherence and get it higher again, what tends to have to happen is the coach has to work extra hard to get them back on track. And a lot of that is because the client doesn't really know where to go. So they don't know whether the information you're giving them is just from the app, or whether they need to go to the app and then check their emails as well, or whether they have to go to check the app, check the emails, check their inbox, check WhatsApp, check Facebook Messenger, and kind of see where I'm going with this. The more places you're sending information to your clients, the harder it's going to be for them. That doesn't mean you can't send emails to your clients. It doesn't mean you can't send SMS text messages to your clients or whatever. But when you do, what you want to do is direct them to the place where they're going to get the information from. So if delivering coaching content to your clients, I'd always recommend whatever is any onboarding content, coaching content, anything, you do it directly through PT Distinction. If you want to use this alongside a Facebook group or something else, do that, but make sure whatever you send out and whatever you ask them to do directs them into this one place, because that's going to be a big part of this onboarding process. You want to understand where they need to go to. And for us as coaches, we tend to think, well, it's easy. They're doing all this all the time, but that's because we're in it. We're involved. We know these systems. Your clients don't. They don't know these systems. They've never done this before. So we want to keep it as simple as possible. We want them just to go to one place. That's what we want them to do, and access everything from one place. So that's going to be the first thing we want to start looking at. That said, the first thing they're probably going to receive is an email, because they need to know how to log in, download the app, and all that kind of stuff. So let's go and take a look at the emails first. I'm going to head over to the message center in the top corner. So inside this message center, I actually have an email set up for on-joining down here, as you can see, and it's going to go out. Everything else after that is an instant message. Just like I mentioned, I want to try and keep things inside the app wherever I can do. Inside here, we make it really clear this is where all their details are to get started. I'm going to click the drop-down menu. I'm going to click View, Edit, and just show you what's going on inside here. So inside this email, we have it set up, like I say, on joining at the top. For anyone who's not sure, on joining basically means it's going to go out the moment a client is added to this particular group. So just a reminder for people who are not sure about groups and what they are. Groups are not just about group training. Groups are basically a group of content. So you can use it for group training, you can use it for group messaging, you can use it for organizing clients, you can use it for delivering content, you can use it for all sorts of different things. But in this case here, what we're going to do is use this in order to deliver content and services to our clients. And effectively what happens is when we add a client to a group, everything in that group gets copied into their account, and then that information goes out to them. And that's what's basically happening here. So on joining, all that means is when a client has added this particular group, this email that we see on screen now is going to go out the moment that happens. Now, down here, we've got some placeholders. These placeholders will automatically adapt for that client's name and links to Apple apps and things like that. And we've just added some nice clarity in here. Again, we're not having too much information in. Some of the times we see with onboarding emails, they have a huge email set up with lots of links in. And I do get that because when trainers first move online, when they come to something like Peter Distinction, they may have delivered emails before with onboarding information to those clients. There might be links to Dropbox, to Canva, to videos, to whatever it is in there. And that's all well and good because you didn't have a software like Peter Distinction to pull it all together. So you don't need it in here because, again, all you're doing is making them believe that, okay, this is where I'm going to start getting most of my information from. You don't want that. You want to instantly get them into the app. And this is all part of that process. That when I talked about earlier about getting the client to understand how the app works and where to find information from, you don't necessarily have to tell them. You just got to get them into the habit of doing it. And you can start building habits without actually telling them that. And this is literally the first step. The first step of the habit is we're going to get you logged into your portal, into your app, and that's where you're going to find information from. That's the first habit we're dealing with. So that's what we're doing inside this email. So keep it nice and simple. It's saying exactly what you need to do, getting straight to the point, placeholders are where to go, tell them how to log in, and just explain exactly what's going to happen inside here. Just nice and clear. Log in for the first time, you'll find your dashboard. So before they've even clicked a link, these questions that your clients might be coming up with, and again, thinking about what your clients might be coming up with. Okay, what's going to happen when I log into the app? Because what you don't want to happen is, okay, they might be thinking, I'm really busy at the moment. I've opened my email. I don't want to have to sit there for half an hour, 50 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, completing stuff on this app because I've got dinner to cook for the kids. I've got work in half an hour's time. So what you're doing here with this email that they've received is, I want you to go into the app. I want you to head straight to your dashboard. Okay, so I know to go to the dashboard when I log straight in. On there, I'm going to see a welcome note from me and the team. Please open this and take a read. And here you'll find a few short tasks for you to complete. This shouldn't take more than 5 to 10 minutes. So instantly, we're managing expectations of our clients. And again, that's a key thing you want to be doing this onboarding process throughout. Like we talked about earlier, it's the what it is, why they're actually doing it, how they're actually going to do it, how they're going to check in to let you know they've done it, then what's going to happen next. We're adding that clarity in here instantly. And that's it. That's what we're doing. So you'll be excited to them. So you'll see them inside the app in a few moments' time, and that's it. So this person knows now, once they've received this email, that it's not going to take them long. They can go in there, they can get started, and away they go. And this is also something you want to be trying to focus on as well as part of your main onboarding process. The first task you want to do shouldn't take them more than 10 minutes. If it takes them more than 10 minutes, then start splitting up your onboarding process over a number of days or even a week. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And you're going to benefit so much more by doing that. And your clients are going to benefit so much more by doing that. Not because it's going to be easy for them to complete, easy for them to take in that information. They're more likely to get it right, what they're doing. Because remember, you're not stood there next to them doing this onboarding process. One of the biggest difference between online and in person, you're there with them. Online, you're not. So you want to try and simplify this so they're taking the small amounts of information at a time, small tasks to do, complete those tasks, explain what's going to happen next, move on to the next task, and so on. And you can do that over a number of different days, which is basically what we're going to do inside this group. Do that over a number of different days. And that's going to mean the information you're going to get is more likely to be correct and accurate. And it also means they're more likely to do it when you want them to do it as well, because it's not taking up too much time for them. The other benefit of this as well is because we're keeping everything focused in the app, is that they're actually learning to navigate around the app at the same time. And again, I'm going to talk about that in just a second, about how we can actually use things like the scheduling, the live reminders and the features in the PTD to actually help the client navigate around the app without necessarily needing to give them a massive tour of the app in the first place. Hey, LaRosa, how you doing, mate? So inside here, we've got our email ready to go out. We also do have an instant message inside here. I'm going to quickly open this up just to show you, but this one here is set to go out a couple of days after joining this particular group. So it'll go out after they've joined. This is an in-app message. Again, we're encouraging the client to stay inside the app because that's where we want them to spend the majority of their time when it comes to the program. That's where they get information from. And this one here is just about goal setting that's actually going out to them. So this is going to relate to a goal setting form that's inside this group in a second. I just want to show you this now before we go and take a look at that. So I'm going to close this off. I'm going to go and navigate back up here to our welcome group. Just say hi to a few people that's come on. Shane, how are we doing? Larissa said hi, obviously. And Matt, hey man, how you doing? I've just been talking about you today with Jed about some new work and stuff you want to do. So yeah, hey man, let's give a couple of waves to you guys. If this is resonating with people, by the way, if it's starting to make sense, just give me a thumbs up. Or give me a yes or good, or put a yes inside the comments. Just let me know it's all making sense so far, and you guys are following along okay. Or if it doesn't, and you think I'm talking nonsense, you can just put no into the comments, and I'll try and explain it a little bit better if I can. But hopefully it all makes sense, and it's resonating with a few people at the moment. So here we are inside our group again, and this time I'm going to head straight over to the setup. So in the setup, we don't have anything in the programs in this group because this is just a welcome group. It's an onboarding group. We can add more content to our client's account later down the line. Nothing in assessments here because we don't necessarily need to give an assessment to a client straight away. But we do have some coaching items in, and we've got 2 inside here. Again, we're not giving everything out straight away when they first sign up. We have a welcome document, and we're going to have a managing expectations document. We'll go and look at these in a second. Over here, we have our tracking set up. Most tracking is not set up in here, apart from the food diary. We've got that active, but the rest of these tracking features are off. The reason is I want the food diary active because I want the tracking feature to appear on the app for them so they can see it. And then in here, we have a number of different forms. These 3 are going out instantly. And this one down here is scheduled to go 2 days after joining, which is in line with that in-app message that came through. This goals ambition one is added to the schedule. And so are these 2 items down here. However, these 3 forms aren't added to the schedule. So let's go and take a look at the schedule. So I'm going to go on here, and we've done everything by days after joining in this welcome group. So it's drip feeding out to the client. You'll see here, nothing's happening on day 0, nothing's happening on day 1, but we do have stuff going on day 2 and day 3. However, we do over here have an on-joining event, which is that welcome document. So all this means here, as soon as the client is added to this particular group, that's going to appear on their account for them so they can actually go and see it. And inside that document, it's going to break down exactly what it is the client needs to go and do. So we've got some images in the side here, really simple again, and it's just explaining to them that we're going to begin shortly, but for them, we need you to go and head over to your logbook in your app and open the form section and complete all the forms you find, including important safety forms, park queue, informed consent, and things like that. And again, big bold writing, please note we can't not start your program until these forms are completed. Now, the benefit of doing this here, and as I mentioned, I didn't schedule those forms for them. I just had that one document. 2 reasons why I've done that. The first one is, if we remember, I talked a few minutes ago about the simplicity of things, and you want people to take action. If they logged into here and they saw a welcome video, welcome document, PDF pack, 4 forms or 3 forms inside here, that's 5 different items they're going to see on their app when they go in. They're going to go, hell no. Like, I haven't got time to go through all these now. This is just too much for them. So before they even looked at it, before they even understand what it is, they're already thinking this is too much. Now, I've already set the framework, if you like, to say it's going to be 5 or 10 minutes. But when they come in here, I don't want to, again, add that extra barrier in. So all I've done is given them one document, explain what they need to do. And then what I'm doing here is I'm telling them where to go. So I'm saying, go to your logbook inside your app, then go to the form section and click park and informed consent. So now they're more likely to go and do it because I've simplified it and kept it to one thing. I've managed their expectations, saying it shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. And now what I'm doing is I'm actually helping them navigate around the app. So more than giving them a big, long training video showing where everything is inside the app, what I'm actually saying here is, okay, go to your logbook and go to your forms. So now the client knows, well, not everything's going to be on my schedule, and I can go and find things. So if I need to find a form, I can go to the forms area. So very quickly, they're starting to understand how to navigate around this app without you even doing anything, without even telling them. They're going to get more comfortable with this app just within the first few seconds of being on here, because they're not reliant on the schedule and you telling them stuff. They're now becoming a bit more reliant on themselves and learn to navigate around and find things in here. And what I've done here is just added a few images just to let them know exactly where to go. Dropped an image, screenshots of the app, literally dead clear. Click here, away you go. Then down here, we talk about what's going to happen next. So we're saying, we know exactly where you're starting from. Over the course of the program, we'll continue monitoring your progress to help both you and I, as your coach, make adjustments to move you closer to your goal. So again, we're explaining why we're doing these things, thinking about those 5 points we talked about earlier. What is it you want to do? Why you want to do it? How you want them to go and do it? How they're going to check in so that you know you've done it, and what's going to happen next. This document is actually covering all of that, and you'll see that in a second. So down here, we continue monitoring your progress and help both of you now make decisions moving forward. Then I'm saying starting tomorrow. So we're now explaining what's going to happen. We're not doing this now. We're just saying tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, this is what's going to happen. Again, we're setting the precedent for this. We don't just want to send them a reminder through, say, go and track some body weight measurements in the morning because it's going to catch them off guard. We can actually get them planned for it, and we're telling them what to do here. So starting tomorrow morning, I'm asking you to weigh yourself, take a few simple tape measurements. Today, please make sure you have the means to measure it and weigh yourself. And then normally if you stop at that point, they might be thinking, okay, I haven't got time to get this stuff ready. Maybe they've signed up in the evening, so they haven't got time to go and maybe get tape measures and that kind of thing that they can use for measuring themselves. But most people have a scale with them, especially if they're looking for a program to change like this. They're more likely to have a scale around. So again, we're going to think about what are these barriers that they're going to come up with. And we're explaining here, if you don't have a suitable tape measure, don't worry, we can start with just weighing yourself. So all we're doing is we're thinking ahead, and this is where understanding your client avatar is. We talk about this a lot over at PT Ninja on the 101 course and on the online personal training certification, the importance of understanding who you work with. And your onboarding process is going to be very much related to your avatar, to your niche that you work with. So the more you understand about your niche and your avatar, the easier this process is going to be. You know, niching down and avatars aren't just about sales and marketing. They're about the deliverables inside your program. So I can look at this and think, okay, I know from the majority of people I've worked with that they may not have a tape measure with them that's suitable for measuring. And if I say that to them, they're already going to panic and think I'm going to fall at the first hurdle because I can't even measure myself, what they're going to think about it. And they're either going to do one or two things. They're going to hold that in and be nervous about it and think about what we're going to do. Or they're going to be starting to send you messages through about what we're going to do, because I know that's a question that's going to come up. So I've anticipated that that's coming up on this onboarding process. And it's going to make them feel so much better by having stuff like that in there. And again, I explain what it is. So tomorrow morning, you're going to open up your app, going to open it up. And in the morning before breakfast, I'm going to follow the instructions on how to take your first measurements. So again, adding that clarity and explaining to them, tomorrow morning, we're going to do this. Make sure you do it before your breakfast. And I'm going to give you some instructions first of how to do it. So don't worry panicking about it. I'm not just going to say take some measurements. I'm going to show you how to do it as well. Again, adding that clarity in. Then we're going to talk about your program progress. We'll be adding things to your schedule, which they've seen already because they've gone to the dashboard, and just explaining what's going to happen in the morning. Because I've just said we're going to remind them to do it. This is how we're going to go and remind them so they can find it in here. And I've explained what else they'll find inside here as part of that process, and also to make sure they check in every day on the dashboard. One of the cool features inside PTD is the adherence monitoring. So you have these little trackers for each month about how well a client's checked into something. And that's what we want to do in here in this section. We're basically just saying it's really important that they do check in on the dashboard every day. So already we're setting this expectation that we want the client to go in there, click that little dot and check in. And we even show them what it looks like down here. Same, we're going to find other things in your guide area. So even though we're putting things on the schedule for them here, we're also explaining to them they can find it in the guides area. And we're just showing them where that is as well. And then down here, we explain to them how to actually check in as well. So really quick and easy. Click the button and they can go and check in. They can see the overall completion. So again, we're adding in that extra clarity so it's super clear for them to do. Then it's down here, explains as you check in on your tasks in the schedule, overall completion ring will start to turn green. It's this bit over here. If you miss any scheduled events, it'll go dark blue. The aim is to have more green than blue. So just keeping it nice and simple so they know what's going to happen. And we can use that to help encourage adherence over time. So this document should take them 60 seconds to maybe 2 minutes to read, and then they can go and complete those forms. And again, it recaps it down here as well. And we've also just put in a button for the Facebook group as well. If you're running a Facebook group alongside it, we've dropped that in there too. So that's what I'd have literally just to start off with the onboarding document. What else we got on here? Hey, Si, how you doing? Hey, Kelly. I'm going to give some waves to you guys as well whilst we're in here. So yeah, that's the onboarding document in. And then we've got nothing on day one, but I'll explain why we have nothing on the day after. We talked about measurements and things like that. I generally like to include results tracking from a client's point of view in a separate group because it gives you more flexibility. I'm not going into too much detail about that now, but it will allow you to have multiple packages and have constant tracking throughout. It also makes it easier for you to like to pause clients and that kind of thing too. But we talk about that in other masterclasses. And if you want to know more about that kind of thing in managing clients, I can always do another live training around managing clients inside PTD as well, and kind of show you how having multiple groups can really help with that. But for this one here, we're going to go straight onto this one. We have a goals and ambitions form. I think somebody was asking a question about goals literally, I think it was yesterday or the day before inside the group. And one of the cool things about asking for goals for clients is a lot of trainers will tend to do the whole SMART goals thing. The SMART goals are fine, but SMART goals really are for us to help the client. So we need to be making smart goals for our client. The client doesn't necessarily need to be making smart goals for themselves. What's really important for the client is understanding why they're going to do it. And I like to have a goals and ambitions form in a couple of days in. The reason I like to have it a couple of days in is because it helps the client recap why they're actually doing this in the first place and digging down their deep whys. It also means that once they've got all this basic information in, they've got the onboarding done, they've got the tracking, and we're about to start the main program, we're going to actually help motivate them forward to take that next big step, that big leap into actually getting started into the program. It's just going to help with that motivation straight away. It's also going to reduce the chance of things like chargebacks, refunding, that kind of stuff as well, because it's reminding them why they're here in the first place. So these onboarding things are not just about the best results for your clients, it's also about for your business as well. People always can second guess stuff when they're doing things, especially if they made a large investment. If you are charging a lot of money, these things are really, really going to help maintain your clients as well and put them in a better position without them having to constantly ask you questions and that kind of thing as well. So try and make it as smooth and as simple as possible. And bear in mind as well, everything I've talked about at the moment is completely automated. At this point, you have not done anything for this client. They've onboarded themselves and everything's happened after they've made payment. So we're going to take a look at this form inside here. We've got the form. These ones are all the standard P2D forms, and we have this goals and ambitions form down here. I'm going to look at build forms so you can take a look at it and see what's going on. And you can see here, I've just got some very simple ones. This is a 12-week program. Of course, you can have any length you want inside here. So I've just got a form in where you want to be in 3 months' time. Why is it important to you? Scale of 1 to 10, how amazing will it feel? And we're talking about emotions here and digging things down, getting to imagine what their life is like now compared to what their life is going to be like in the future once they finish this program. Again, this is all really useful stuff because it's going to help motivate them to move forward. But the other cool thing about this is if their adherence drops over time, and you want to try and bring them back on it, you can literally pull this up and just have a conversation about, well, this is what you actually wanted. This is what you're aiming for. You can use this to help motivate them to move them forward if their adherence does drop down in the future. So again, all this can be part of this onboarding process. Let's just head back into the group. And then what we have is a managing expectations document. So we talked about the onboarding stuff. We've got the motivation now. Now they're motivated forward, we can talk about what their expectations are for the program. So in here, there's some information again about like setting realistic expectations, a few cool images to make it look pretty, what to expect from the program, and understanding the process. So reminding them what this process is. You may have had this conversation with them through a sales call, or through your website, or your sales copy, whatever it is. But also having it here is a nice little recap. They can refer back to it at any point in the guide section, and they already know how to do that because we've talked about it with the onboarding document. But also inside here, you can see it explains the phases so they know what to expect, what's actually going to be coming up to them. Again, adding this clarity in at every single step of the way. So we have our welcome group there with all that content and stuff in. And then what we also have is our results tracking group. So we talked about that in the onboarding document as well. So down here, we have our results tracking group. And then here, again, nothing inside the message center or anything like that. In the setup area, in the coaching area, we have 2 documents in here. Like in this case, we've got some daily measurements, and we also have some weekly measurements as well set up. We also have some tracking set up inside it. It's all activated for the client. We don't have any forms in here. We don't have any assessments in here. We don't have any programs in here. But over on the schedule, if I go to by days after joining again, you can see down here, we have it on day 1 now. So how to set your measurements and the progress photos and results tracking is all scheduled in. So they're going to get push notifications and reminders through to go and do it. And this is exactly why that day 1 was missing on that welcome group. So we use a technique called group stacking. This is a technique that we use over at PTG for pretty much everything that we set up, whether it's for the one-on-one course or for our done-for-you service. We always recommend group stacking because it gives you more flexibility. And if you're not quite sure, again, we've talked about groups a little bit throughout this training. You can add clients to multiple groups at any given time. Your client will not know they're part of that group. It's possible they can know if you switch on group messaging, but that's a different story. We can talk about that in another training if you want to. But yeah, basically you can add clients to as many groups as you want to. They'll have no idea because all groups are basically it's just a way of copying content into a client's account, allowing to do bulk updates for members of those particular groups. So by doing it this way, it gives you that flexibility, and that's why it's set up the way it is here. So in this bit down here in the coaching section, we have had to take a measurement. So again, just some clarity in here. Just like before, explaining where to go. So yes, it's on the schedule for them. We tell them it's on the schedule for them, but we're also showing them they can actually go and find this here. So if they want to go in at a later time, if they can't do it at that exact time on the schedule, or maybe they want to go and look at their results and see how they're getting on over time. This is how they can find it. Again, make it nice and clear. Then we show them how to actually add it in. So when they go into the coaching area, the tracking area, sorry, how to track it in, what they have to do, and how they can go and put those details in. Again, adding all this extra clarity in. We then take them through step by step, show them how to go and take their measurements, talk about progress photos, again, how to upload progress photos and view them back. And that's it. And then down the bottom here, we're explaining again about what's going to happen. So we've explained what it is. We've explained why it's important through this document. We've explained how they're going to go and do it. We've then talked about when they're going to do it, so on the schedule, before breakfast. And then we're talking about what's going to, like, how they're going to check in to let you do it. So they put it in, that's going to check it in. We say down here, they're going to go and check in on the schedule to let it's done. So they check in with you by using today's schedule. Then we explain what's going to happen next as well. That's all done in this one document. So we're giving them that clarity again about exactly what's going to happen. Again, more clarity, the better experience it's going to be for your client, the less backwards and forwards and there's going to be between you and your clients as well. And then after that, we do have a bit of a daily check-in as well on here to track their measurements daily. This is like for energy levels and sleep and things like that we've included too. Again, this is all on the schedule in here. And just again, to give you a heads up of why I've done it this way. So this one here is drip feeding out after 5 days, as you can see down here, and it appears to them. And the reason it's 5 days is because in the tracking area, in the results tracking sheet, as many of you may already know, you can have multiple tracking set up in the tracking sheet, but you only schedule the tracking sheet as a whole. So you can have lots of things inside here, and when you schedule them, you want to make sure you tell them exactly what you want to go and complete. And we do that on the schedule. When on the schedule, the message comes up, it says go and complete the weekly tracking. Now, when they first do this, all they'll see is the weekly tracking here. Then after 5 days, this one will appear, and so that document will come up. Again, without us actually telling them that multiple things will appear, when they go into that tracking sheet, they're going to go, so new things appear inside here. So this is where I'm going to track everything that my coach wants me to do. Again, it adds in that clarity, and they're realizing that for themselves is going to make life so much easier. The other advantage of this as well is I'm not scheduling daily tracking. So I use the scheduling for reminders a lot of the time, but the daily tracking, I just want them to go and do it. I don't have to send a push notification every day. I actually want them to get into the habit of being aware of how much sleep they've got and be aware of their energy levels throughout the day. And the best way to do that is actually to get them to the habit of just going in there every day and recording it. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. So I'm not actually scheduling the daily habits, the daily tracking. I'm actually just getting them into the habit of doing it without scheduling. So again, there's little things you can think about when it comes to building up your onboarding processes here. And a lot of this is going to be based around your client's needs and like your avatar and who you want to work with. Now, of course, I've just done this here for what I call the average. And obviously, there's a lot. It's very hard to get an average client all the time. But one thing I will tell you with this is this here is the same onboarding groups and processes we use for the blueprint that we give you on the PT Ninja 101 course and our online personal training certification. So these can be plugged and played into your account. And it's this along with the other process that we tend to use. And we've done this based on data from working with thousands of personal trainers and seeing what works and what doesn't, and what gets the best results for your clients. So this is trial and tested stuff. So we know this works 99% of the time for most clients. Now, obviously, there's going to be some variations on this, depending on the type of clients you work with, whether you do more sports-specific stuff, whether you're working with athletes. All these things do make a little bit of a difference. So I'm not saying this is what you exactly have to do, but the principles behind onboarding should be the same. You want to keep a level of simplicity there, and you want to make sure there's clarity there, and you want to make sure that it's based around who you work with and the avatars you work with. So think ahead of the questions, think about what they're capable of, and make sure your onboarding process around that, and do your best not to overwhelm them, because it's that overwhelming that tends to cause the problems when it comes to onboarding and just makes your life a lot more difficult for doing things. So we have these groups set up inside here, and I am going to show you at the end how you can actually get these as well. Like I say, these are just some of the groups we use over at the 101 course, but I'm going to give you guys access to this. I'm going to show you how you can do that in a second. It's dead easy to get them into your account. Now let's talk about actually using these groups. So there's a couple of ways you can onboard clients into PTD. Well, there's a few ways of doing it really, depending how you set it up. But I'm going to do two basic ways. One is adding a client in manually, and the other one is using a pre-made package. We're going to use both of those right now. So over here, I'm going to go and add a client in manually by clicking add up at the top. And I'm going to go to clients first, might help Ash. I'm going to go to add over here. I'm going to go and add in the client. So I'm going to do an Ash, a test, and what's today's date? It is the 6th, so 060422. Put an email address in 060422 at ashtest.com. So we've got our email address in here. fill in all these other details. And then down here, we have this group option at the bottom. So I'm going to hit my drop down menu. I'm just going to click welcome group, add that in, start now. I'm going to click my results tracking group, add that in to start now, and click save. And that's it. That's now my client onboarded. I don't really do anything else. It's going to ask me if I want to send login details. I can click no because, as I was showing you earlier, we have our own welcome email set up with all the login details on already. If I click OK now and we go to that client's account, if we go to the group section at the top, we can see those onboarding groups are in. And then over this way here, you can see everything's been added in. So the documents in for the client here, welcome to the journey. Then take measurements are on here, goals and ambitions, managing expectations. So you can see how these groups are now stacked together to create one program for the client. And we can see all that information here inside their setup as well, and how it's starting to drip feed out to the client. So they can only see these two things to start off with. Then over here, in the tracking area, this is all switched on. In the form section here, you can see these three, but not this one just yet. So you can see how it's starting to drip feed out to client all automatically. Then up in the message center for that client as well. If we go into the message center, we can see we have our emails inside here too. And this will have nothing inside here because it's not a real email address, but you can also see what emails have been sent in here too as well. Let's head back out of here. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to use a pre-made package. So inside here in the account section, you can head down to pre-made packages and we can create a new package. I'm just going to go and call this onboarding. So what you can do is set this up and you can send this out to your client. Now you can actually take payments in here if you want to, or you can do it by just sending it out to a client on like an onboarding page. So in the group section, I'm just going to simply go and add in my welcome group. I'm going to go and add in my results tracking group in here. And then remove groups, don't worry about it. Sell online. Inside here, if you're using a PayPal button, you want to take payment, you can put your PayPal button code in here. If you're not taking payment through PTD, maybe you take it for other means, you can use the no payment option. And then all you're going to do then, in the advanced options, if you want to, you can set this up if you've got like a limited amount of time for your program, but let's assume we're not. And we're just going to go and hit save, click OK. And that's our onboarding package setup. And down here now, we can take this code and we can go and add that to our website if you want to sell it with PayPal, or we can add it to a page on your website that you can send out to your clients to onboard them saying, hey, thank you for signing up. Welcome to the program. The first thing you do is create your account. Again, adding that clarity in right from the start to get them to go and sign up. I'm actually going to go and bypass this on here. So I'm just going to take this out of here, this little URL. And I'm going to go and open up an incognito tab. We're going to go and have a look at this form. So this is going to create a form. Obviously, you'd have this on your website normally, so you'd have all your branding and stuff around it. But I'm just going to go and fill this in. So I'm going to do an ASH test. I'm going to do an 0604222 or 2A, since it's a different one. I'm going to do an 0604222A at ashtest.com. I'm going to do a super secure password of 123456. 123456. And choose my time zone, which I'm currently in a GMT +1. Tell the world I'm not a robot, and I'm going to go and create an account. So obviously, if you're taking payments at this point, the PayPal button would appear after this form. You'll take payment, and then that will add them into your account. We're not doing that at the moment, so don't need to do that. We're going to head back over into PTD, and we can go into our clients. I'm going to go to our active clients, use my filter, and just go date added. There's my new client's been added in. Click on here, and we can see we're in exactly the same situation now where we have our group set up and our content's been added in. And our client will actually go through this onboarding process here. So basically, you've onboarded the client for the first 3-4 days, everything's taken care of. So you actually have time for your client to go in there, fill in the forms, do everything once they've actually made payment. You don't have to, you're not pressurized into following up with them or anything like that, because the system, the software, PT Distinction is taking care of all that for you. And then all you got to do is when they fill these forms in, come back in, you'll look on your dashboard, you can filter it down and go, okay, who's been filling forms in today? Okay, look inside here. This client's on their onboarding questionnaire. So let's go and take a look at what they're up to on their onboarding questionnaire. Okay, cool. They're ready to go. Let's head into their account and start building out some programs for them. And that's by using all these automations inside PT Distinction and setting up these groups. Now, I did mention at the start of this, I'm going to give you access to some of these groups as well. Like I said, normally we only have these for clients who are on our PT Ninja 101 course or the online personal training certification. But if you head up to your community section up here, and you should be able to do this now, head over to partners. And inside here, you should see PT Ninja. And if you just type in here onboarding, A welcome group should come up, and you can go and use that with your clients in here and drop it in. There's also a few other extra bits to put in as well. So this is the 3.0 welcome group and the 3.1 results tracking group that's in here. There's a few other extra bits I put in there as well for like challenges and stuff like that to give you a handout. Obviously, you don't have access to the full white label library that we have, which obviously is all these groups and stuff that you've seen in here and all the content and so on. But I'm going to give you access to that so you can use those. You can plug and play them into your account. Feel free to tweak them for your business as well. Tweak them with your branding or anything else. Do what you want with them. Yours, do what you want with. Put them into your account and then just give it a go and see if it actually helps with onboarding your clients. Makes it a bit smoother experience for you and things like that. Also, as well, if you want to see what that kind of experience is like from a client point of view before you use it in yours, we do have the option for you to actually go into my PTD account and sign up as a client. If anyone's interested in doing that, just let me know below. Just type in client link in the comments, and what I'll do is I'll send you through the link, and you can sign yourself up as a client, and I'll just give you 30-day access to. I'll give you 30-day access to the actual white label program that we use in the course, in the 101 course. And I'll give you 30 days access to it. So you can go through for the onboarding process, you can get a feel for how things are dripped out and things like that. So just let me know what it is and just pop it into the chat. And I'll share the link down there. You guys can have it and see what it's like. But of course, you can just go into the community area and copy over those two groups. So the 3.0 welcome group and the 3.1 results tracking group, and plug and play them into your account and have a play around and see how they go. Awesome. I'll just put it inside the chat down here, and I'll get the links. So as long as people want them, I'll send the link out so you can have them. Awesome. Has anybody got any questions? Anything you want to see again? Anything I'm not sure about? I've tried to keep it under an hour. That's because I normally tend to go over, so I've tried to keep it under an hour for everybody. But if not, I think we're all good. Cool. Well, in that case, I hope that's been useful. I hope you find this helpful. If you're watching this on the replay, feel free just to put in replay in the bottom so I know you're watching it. And if you've got any questions during the replay as well, feel free just to ask away. I'm always obviously inside this group, as you know, so just let me know and I'll try and answer any questions and stuff that you've got. You're welcome, James. No problem at all. And that's it from me. We're back in next week. I'm going to try and get a guest on next week. I appreciate you guys giving me some ideas. I reached out to pretty much everyone that suggested to us last week in the group. So we've got some of them back already. I'm just trying to confirm some dates for next week. So hopefully we'll have a guest on next week to come talk about their experiences in the online fitness world. If not, I'll come back on and do a different training just so you've got something going on. But we should be here back next week. And of course, if anyone's got any questions about this or anything else I've been talking about today, feel free just to get in touch either on the Facebook group or just drop me a message if you want to have a chat about anything. No problem, Victor. Not a problem at all. Glad it's been helpful. That's it for me, and I'll see you all soon. Have an absolutely awesome day and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.